I have a confession to make. A real marketing and copywriting and content marketing creation confession that I'd like to share with you here today. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I've recorded about 100 gigabytes of video, audio. I've written more than 1,000 articles that have never seen the light of day. Let me correct that. Some of them were written as an email response to a client who wrote in with a question. Maybe it was a newsletter subscriber who wrote in with a question, and I created an audio or a video just for them. But these things have accumulated over the last 20 years, and now I have lessons learned binders, work journals, literally piles of resources and materials, all the notes from seminars, and then my application of those notes, and then the results that came from the application. In fact, I've been so busy with private clients and living life that all these materials have accumulated over the years. Now, I will admit some of the materials are garbage. But in producing these materials, I've also accumulated about $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000, maybe $4,000 worth of equipment and other materials, computers and licensing I paid for over the years. I paid for fancy sales funnel software and CRM software, and likely have invested nearly $30,000 to $40,000 in that library of resources and materials. And that's my confession. I don't know if you've had a similar problem where you've got excited about something and you invest in doing it and you did it, but you never really went the final step, which would be to transform those insights and skills into actual income. Now, to be honest, many of the copywriters at Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, they're in the same boat. They want to keep learning how to use words that sell and tell me how to do a press release and show me the right headline methodology, but they're never actually writing any copy. And so my confession is both a warning and a lesson for you that ultimately you got to do something with something. So what I'm doing to get past this is, instead of recording new materials in my Tascam audio or on the video camera. By the way, some of my equipment is so old because I bought it years ago and I just got busy and never used it the way I wanted to. But instead of simply recording something and then putting it away somewhere, I'm actually recording, and you might have noticed this, I'm recording and just posting it. I'm going to do some live calls. I'm going to do some quick edit items. And we've actually developed a system for content development. Now, don't get me wrong. Most of the content I've created has been used for something. I was paid to create it. So I'm not out $30,000 worth of materials and resources. I've received that in consulting contracts, and I used a piece of material for a sales letter, and it works. This stuff really does work. Words that sell really do work. However, I kind of feel like, because I've said it a few times, that you can do the work once and get paid many times. I kind of feel like that I haven't really done that as good as I could. Sure, I had a report about customer relationship management that back in the 90s. I sold $25,000 worth of this report in just a few months, and it really gave me that information marketing bug. But I've probably got, I think my book's only sold maybe 500 copies in the last however many years it's been produced. A lot of my reports, I might sell 10 or 15 copies here and there. Some reports do better than others. But ultimately, here's what I'm going to do, and you can do the same. Instead of creating content willy-nilly and, with an editorial calendar and trying to just create content, understand what business you're in. You're not in the business of content creation. Now, think this out. I know you guys are copywriters, marketers, business development professionals. You're not in the business of creating copy. If you were in the business of creating copy, then every draft you wrote, money would just come in. You'd get paid. If you made a note on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket, it's like you take it back out and have a $100 bill clipped to it. See, you don't get paid to write. You get paid for the results that your writing produces. This is very important. You get paid for the results your writing produces, but you don't even get there unless you market the services that you offer to have people to provide that value to. So I know a lot of folks are doing YouTube channels, podcasts, all kinds of things, and they're worried about production value. They're worried about, getting out there an episode every day. They're worried about consistency and blah, 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 all that. I'm looking at that as draft. If it isn't producing customers, there's other things you can do. And I'll give you an example. So I serve $1 million plus companies, as well as I serve the principals of $1 million plus companies and high income professionals. So that's somebody with $118,000 or more in income, or somebody with a $1 million company and they are looking to get $118,000 a year in income alone. I put people in the top 10% of incomes for the United States and around the world. I don't have to troll social media and be on LinkedIn or be on YouTube to find people like that. In fact, because they represent the top 10% of incomes, that means 9 out of 10 people that I interact with on social media are likely not associated with that. Now, I can go to social media and mine it for topics and concepts that would be useful to my audience, but I'm not going to reach that audience being out there without having to sort through a lot of junk. But what I can do is get a mailing list or do a joint venture or partner with somebody who already has a list and send stuff right to the people. I can get a list of people who make 6 figures and better, and I can send them a lead generation piece and get them on my list. I don't have to troll social media. I don't have to follow them. I don't have to post stuff every day. I don't have to have a little cheeky comment to provide when somebody says something. I don't have to like, subscribe, or click the notification button. I can simply go get a list of prospects, send them some kind of offer, like an irresistible offer, something just to get them to raise their hand, and then put them on my list. And then after that, I can send them an offer. I can send them more lead generation. I can do something with those people. And nobody in the world will be any of the wiser. They won't know I'm doing this. They won't see what I'm doing. And therefore, they can't copy what I'm doing. So that's what I've been doing. And this is a little technique I've talked about before is when somebody wants to ask me a question, I like to answer their questions, but I'm not always available. So I have, again, private clients and obligations to family and stuff that I really enjoy. I like my private clients. I like my family. I like my free time. So when someone asks a question, I will simply respond with a question and document kind of where they're coming from. And then when I get a chance, whether I'm stuck in the back of a car somewhere going to the airport, or I get a little bit of free time and I'm just chilling out, I simply record a response. And I'll use an AIDA formula, or I'll do some kind of beginning, middle, and end formula so that they get a response that they can use. In fact, it's well thought out. It's often supported by other materials that I have, and it's produced in a time period in which that I actually could focus on it rather than just off the cuff. The point I'm making here is that while they have a short delay, they get an answer. And then the next person who asks the same question gets the answer I provided to the first person with maybe a cover letter or something. And then the person after that might get the summarized cover letter with an updated version of what I provided the previous person with another letter that's specific to their situation. And then next thing you know, I've got a binder full of responses to actual humans with answers. Now, you might be saying, well, Justin, what does this have to do with the podcast and content creation? Well, first off, I didn't have to go through all the trouble of publishing that crap and putting up with comments over the last however many years those materials are going out. I simply took them off the shelf, updated it for the person who's asking, provided it to the person who's asking, but this often turned into results. It turned into meetings. It turned into assignments. It turned into work. And then I got busy, so I never had a chance really to publish anyway. But ultimately, what I was able to do is start developing a relationship with customers, people who can buy what it is that I have to offer. I always wonder how people post so much online. Now, I do know today that some people do exactly what I'm describing to you, except they're at a point where they hire somebody to go through their backlog of materials and create things to go online. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But also, I will record things that are time sensitive and just go ahead and post it live. Like I'm literally talking into a box in my office with my shoes off, standing on a little carpet, so I don't make any extra noises as I move around. And I'm sharing with you a few insights about how to get more accomplished, how to create more content that is of value, how to develop and approach content so that you create useful buying relationships rather than just content. And then ultimately, how to kind of step out of that game. I was talking with my son, And we talked about how a newspaper, because I get not Washington Post, I get the Wall Street Journal delivered to my home now, because I'm kind of tired of sitting in front of a computer. Long story short, my son's looking at the newspaper and he comes up with the association that a newspaper is just like a web page. And I'm like, yes, exactly. The whole thing's exactly like a newspaper. And except the newspaper has a higher level of entry. And, anybody can post online today, and everybody does. But ultimately, a newspaper or a publication or a book, somebody put some thought into that. So ultimately, what I'm doing is exactly like direct response folks did 10, 20 years ago. I'm sending letters to people who are interested in what I have to offer, making them an offer, and turning them into customers. I'm not creating 15 articles on an article series. I'm not sending 25 emails a day. I kind of just send one. Actually, I'm working on a proposal letter. It's an inquiry letter to some manufacturers, and simply going to present it to the manufacturers. And if they like the idea, then I'll expand the idea for the situation I have in mind. But I'm essentially product developing with customers or with potential customers. So here's the switch. Here's the mindset change that you have. I need to, for me, and this is why I'm making this confession, for me, I need to not worry about the backlog. Now, the backlog's great. Because I had memory issues and I was able to write this stuff down, and I actually interact with that backlog and use it in my company. So it's paid for itself. But if I want to take it to the next level, I'm not going to be the one to package it. I'm not going to be the one to sort it out, organize it. And I've sorted and organized some of it, but ultimately, I'm not going to be the one to produce it. Second, I'm not going to be the one to produce it in a form that's going to be up to the standards of that general consumer population. General consumers want a podcast that's engaging and exciting with transitions and music and all that, effects and stuff. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn about any of that. I give a damn about results for my clients. So I stick to the results for my clients. And in this case, my son, I'm going to hire him to do some of the videos. But again, you guys know how I am. If he's not going to produce the videos, I'm going to hire other people to produce them. I'm also going to package what I have together because, again, we're not creating content. You are not creating content. You're creating customers. Okay, that's what you want to focus on. What creates customers? Well, in this case, I'm actually packaging the content creation and the collaborative editing processes that I have, the methodologies because we actually do produce quite a bit of video, even though you guys don't see it in the public realm. I'm actually packaging all that together and then offering a service to my clients where we would back office their media marketing side. So again, it's not going to be beautiful pictures and stuff. It's mainly going to be rough cuts, but it's a syndication method where I can license some of my content to people who want to use it. I can do kind of what Patrick Quinn has done for me. I bought the website adbriefings.co.uk and I've continued it all these years, and it's paid for itself. And it's been a great experience, but ultimately, how can I allow and do the same thing for the next generation, for the next group? So if you've got a frustration that you're creating a lot of content and it's not doing anything, well, just accept it. That's just the way it is. Now you can pull down that content and repackage it, license it, repackage it, and sell it as a book or a resource. You could turn it into a training program. You could turn it into a service. But don't just let it sit there. You've already done the work. Why not get paid for it many times? And let's take this one step further, because I know that folks who listen to Ad Briefings Copywriting Tips, they're marketers, copywriters, and business development professionals. So you have created materials for your customers that you can help your customers get more out of. Now, I'll give you the last example because I mentioned the letter I'm sending to these manufacturers. Well, these actually are not, they're contractors, they're not manufacturers, but I'm sending the letter to both manufacturers, contractors, and public officials that are going to be involved in this type of decision. But essentially, the letter is my marketing, a joint venture opportunity where I would produce for this business alliance marketing materials, public relations materials. I would do all the agency work, but for a small handful of clients around a specific niche and market. I'll also include the strategic relations work that we do around opinion, shaping opinion. I would do the position papers and the white papers. Now, instead of just writing a sales letter, I'll be writing an entire campaign for an association that I invented. See, that's what happens when you're not trolling the internet. Now, I know you found me through this podcast and you're listening to the podcast for insights, inspiration, and ideas. But ultimately, when you do something with them, that's the kind of results. That kind of project is $1.5 million project, $1.5 million type of work project. Now, it could be a 12-month endeavor. And so $1.5 million over 12 months really isn't that much when it comes to running something long term, but I could probably put two full-time employees on that activity, recycle a lot of materials that I already have, and deliver a valuable service to a handful of companies that are looking for what I have to offer. Now, how do I know they're looking for what I have to offer? Well, I know that they're posting a lot of jobs around business development and they're posting marketing jobs. I can fill both of those positions through a back office type of service for a fraction of what they're going to have to pay employees. And if I have 5 companies in this kind of joint venture, then we'll be able to do it on a national scale for a very, very favorable cost. And the key here is that their jobs start at like $500,000. So if they invest $180,000 in the service that I'm providing, and it provides a package of work over a 12-month period, and they get one $500,000 contract, then they're going to be ecstatic. They're going to be greatly benefited. But again, if you're sitting around on the internet trying to make another $12 doing a press release or trying to get a $99 sales letter out, you're wasting an opportunity. Because first, your knowledge, your understanding, and your experiences are worth so much. So there's 2 routes. If you take an information marketing route, that's great. If you take an application route, that's even better. But ultimately, you can do the work once and get paid many times. If you do the work once and only get paid enough to cover the original work, then chill out. Don't worry about it. You don't need to confess that you haven't finished things. And if you do want to get some stuff done, because these podcasts are fun for me, you can actually just do them as drafts and get them out there and then clean them up as you go. But more importantly, clean them up as you generate leads. Now, speaking of generating leads, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you have a question about this or any other podcast or concepts covered here that you want to apply in your own business, simply visit us at www.adbriefing.co.uk. When you visit there, you can at least ask your question or share your success story, because I'm here to help you create and keep profitable customers and transform words that sell into relationships that profit. Thanks for listening.